Lavez-vous régulièrement les mains à l'eau et au savon ou à l'aide d'un gel hydroalcoolique. 2. Vous ressentez l'envie de tousser ou d'éternuer? Faites-le dans un mouchoir ou dans le creux de votre coude, puis lavez-vous les mains. 3. Restez à au moins 1 mètre de distance des autres personnes, surtout si elles toussent, éternuent ou ont de la fièvre. 4. Évitez de vous toucher les yeux, le nez et la bouche. 5. Évitez tout contact direct avec des animaux vivants. Et si cela est impossible, veillez à vous laver les mains après le contact. 6. Ne mangez pas de produits animaux crus ou mal cuits et lavez-vous les mains. Nettoyez les surfaces et les ustensiles après usage. 7. Si vous avez de la fièvre, de la toux ou des difficultés à respirer, consultez un médecin.
Equinoxe Télévision, au-delà de l'image, nous rendons compte.
The primetime news on Equinoxe Television live from Kamer's economic capital city, Douala. Equinoxe Central News Desk. In our top stories, arrested 4 years ago in Buea in the southwest region of Cameroon, detained first of all at the State Defense Secretariat in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. He fell sick some 6 months ago and was not taken to the hospital until 2 weeks ago when his situation became critical. He was taken to the hospital but changed. He died this day. He is Thomas Tangim, alias Patom, a detainee of the armed conflicts in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Many lives are still being lost as a result of the armed conflicts. That is the lone top story. Stay with us. You're watching the primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. We are broadcasting live from Cameroon's economic capital city, Douala. Equinoxe Central News Desk. Main news, we begin with our top story on the demise of the detainee of the armed conflicts in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. 55-year-old Thomas Tangim, detainee of the Anglophone crisis, has died in the nation's political capital city, Yaoundé, arrested 4 years ago in Buea, chief town of the southwest region of Cameroon. Of course, held for 4 months at the State Defense Secretariat, that's the dreaded State Defense Secretariat in Yaoundé, Cameroon, before being taken to the Kondenge maximum security prison, according to a senior family member telling Equinoxe Television and Radio. The same family source told the investigative team of Equinoxe Television that Tangim Thomas, while in detention in Yaoundé, Cameroon, became very sick 6 months ago, but was refused access to medical treatment. All effort by the family to get him to the hospital were thwarted by officials of the prison in Yaoundé until 2 weeks ago, when his situation became critical. He will later be rushed to the hospital but chained, as seen in the images, until 5:50 a.m. this day, when he gave up the ghost, or he died. Family members, however, accuse officials of the Kondenge maximum security prison. They say their irresponsible attitude caused the demise of their brother Tangim, that is Tangim Thomas alias Patom. And Cameroonians are crying at home and abroad. Some Cameroonians trapped in India, even within the current context of, that is the health context, are crying that they have been abandoned by the government. They see the number of persons, or a good number of them, have continued to die. They indicate that they've sent several distress calls to the government of Cameroon to come help and facilitate their comeback to the country, but that has not yielded fruit. So far, a good number of them have died, and the number of persons dying as a result of the poor conditions under which they live in India continue to increase. Innocent Azeh tells us more in this story.
Je suis Camerounais.
Out of 109 Cameroonians stranded in Bombay, India, since outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic, which brought about closure of borders, 6 of them have been sent to their graves by COVID-19.
7 personnes décédées. Et en date.
The latest death was recorded on Wednesday, July 29th, 2020, in the Cameroonian community of Bombay, India.
Si déjà des personnes même non malades depuis arrivent à ne pas tenir.
According to Michel Misek, one of the stranded compatriots, government of Cameroon has ignored their distress cries and calls to return home. Michel reveals that out of the 6 corpses, 2 have been cremated.
Parmi les 2 incinérés, j'en connais une qui était exactement dans mon hôtel et elle était avec sa fille.
That the 103 survivors await repatriation, but the process is slow due to closure of India's borders.
En ce moment, nous tous les Camerounais, nous sommes plus d'une centaine en détresse ici en Inde.
The Minister of External Relations, Lejeune Belambela, is said to have addressed a correspondence to the Cameroonian ambassador to China on July 22nd, 2020 to ask his collaborator to implore the competent Indian authorities obtain an overflight and landing authorization by Ethiopian Airlines on the Addis Ababa, Bombay and Simalen route via Addis Ababa.
Malgré les notes du ministre adressées à l'ambassadeur du Cameroun en Chine, beaucoup commencé à le stress va finir par tuer beaucoup entre nous ici.
8 days after the minister's letter, accompanied by a list of 108 people to be repatriated, technical hitches in Yaoundé prevented the repatriation, thus compelling the compatriots to stay in Bombay, India, in deplorable living conditions.
Nous souhaitons que le gouvernement fasse son devoir de protection de sa population.
Michel Bisek further stresses that he is in a room with his wife and cannot go out.
They have not been permitted to come back to their country, Cameroon, despite calls addressed to key officials in Cameroon, even through the Cameroonian embassy representing Cameroonians found in India. Should be recorded some 1 month ago, Equinoxe television got an interview of Cameroonians whose father died under deplorable condition. He said he and the father left Cameroon for medical treatments or medical attention, to seek medical attention in India, and got stopped as a result of COVID-19. And of course, Cameroon has, however, made efforts to bring back some Cameroonians trapped in other countries, excluding those in India. We shall be coming back to this story, and we take you to the far north region of Cameroon, to Getchewe, a village in the Mayo Mosquota in the Mayo Chanaga division of that region of Cameroon, where inhabitants are still mourning. They are mourning over 19 of them killed recently by members of the terrorist group Boko Haram. Smart Njikangebe tells us more in the following report.
A 1-year-old baby and a 4-month-old baby have been left without mothers due to the attack at Ngichewe in the Mayo Chanaga division of the Far North region. Apart from these babies, who are now motherless, a victim lost his arm, while others were badly wounded. Notwithstanding the explosion that killed 19 and injured 14, the morale of the rest of the inhabitants is high. The attack, which is the first of its kind to happen at the refugee camp in the Far North region, has been blamed on the limited numbers of security men in the zone. The population is asking for the number to be increased.
Notre doléance auprès de vous.
Our main problem is for the government to add the number of the forces of law and order. Bravely, the army have done their best, but it is a problem of limited numbers.
Bataille, c'est l'effectif. nous avons moins d'effectifs.
We thank the forces of law and order that we've been working with throughout without any problem. We need more hands.
Avec eux, dans l'amiable, nous n'avons pas eu de problème. Nous accusons l'effectif qui nous manque.
In a condolence visit to Ngichewe, under the instruction of the head of state and wife, Far North Regional Governor visited some of the injured persons at the Adventist Hospital in Koza before a grand meeting in Ngichewe to listen to the needs of the population. Far North Regional Governor was, however, happy with the morals of those left in the village.
What we have noticed is that the morale of population is high. Despite this attack, on another hand, to congratulate the Vigilant Committee for well done job they have done so far, and to go further in this war until we get rid those Boko Haram, definitely.
Foodstuffs ranging from bags of rice, millet, groundnuts and sugar were handed to the population, and the sum of 100 million francs CFA was given to the Vigilante Committee to encourage them. A total of 450 persons, including the military and members of the Vigilante Committee groups, have died in Mozogo in the last 5 years due to Boko Haram incursions.
Smart Njikangebe reporting on the situation in Gechewe in the Mayo Muskota subdivision of the Mayo Chanaga division Fan region of Cameroon, and it should be recorded shortly after the incident on Sunday. Cameroon's Ministry of Defense, through the spokesperson of the ministry, Colonel Ria Tomfak, made a communique, released a communique in which he indicated that some 19 persons, civilians, were killed and 16 other persons severely injured. And of course, he also went further to say that those killed by Boko Haram terrorists were killed by suicide bombers who were used by members of the Boko Haram, and they activated their explosive that is amidst inhabitants who are fleeing their attack in Gechewe village. We shall be coming back to this story, but meantime we take you to the Indian division of the southwest region of Cameroon, where the senior divisional officer for the Indian division, Fowan Lawrence, has called on youth of the division to put their heads into agriculture, promising that he will always stand by youths of his area of command who consider working working on agriculture, who consider taking of agriculture as their main source of livelihood. More with Derek Jato in the southwest region.
From one subdivision to another, the senior divisional officer for Njan division is popularly identifying with a particular age group, the youth, who he calls the future of Njan division, especially those involved in agriculture.
I'm not going to stand to see the chiefs use them, especially as they don't be loyal to the administration.
I will not allow anyone to cheat you, Fowan Lawrence told them in pidgin language.
And all those that want to get farms, they eat, they harvest, they plant, and the one who said they come to office as a leader of your nation.
And if you don't know how to market your agricultural produce, come to my office for directives, he added. The government authorities here say the smooth takeoff, especially in the domain of agriculture, championed most especially by the youth, is indicative that Njan division is coming out of the crisis better.
We are in the heart of the tropical rainforest, and so everything we plant here in the river will surely grow.
In the academic milieu, the ground is level. The SGO told Equinoxe television. And coming to COVID-19, the fight has been relentless.
Yeah, actually, some days ago, the Prime Minister, head of government, Chief Dr. John Gute, alongside some willing elites of Indian division, sent some consignment to us. Both would fight against the threat of COVID-19 in Indian division and to an extent to alleviate poverty.
The youth here assure the powder be that they are ready to realize the Njan dream. Reason why Fowan Lawrence, their senior divisional officer, is taking the message first to the Reconstruction Commission to see Indian division as a takeoff point in the southwest region when it comes to the reconstruction plan.
And they have told me that they will give their full collaboration. I'm calling on Minister Tasson, the national coordinator, to come to India and start it there for obvious reason. Obvious reason meaning that because the place is calm.
Indian division with 9 subdivisions is an oil-rich zone, but the development of this Indian division has not been reflective.
And now we take on this note. President Paul Biya has postponed the Higher Judicial Council session initially built for this Wednesday, August the 5th, 2020. In a decision Tuesday, August the 4th, 2020, President Paul Biya moved the Higher Judicial Council session to August the 10th. It should be recorded having failed to participate at the ICAS Conference of Heads of States. Cameroonians had their fingers crossed to see President Paul Biya present at the ordinary or the Higher Judicial Council session, but it has been moved to August the 10th. And now we stay in the southwest region of Cameroon to say that Bafo chiefs of the Meme division of the southwest region of Cameroon, together with Prince Ekoko Mokete as their new paramount ruler. Of course, he was chosen during a consultative talks in Kumba on Tuesday in the presence of their senior divisional officer for the Meme division, Ntundon Chamberlain. And of course, at the end of the event in Kumba, we hooked up with chief, we had an excerpt of a Bafo chief who talked about the significance of consultative talks that they had with Prince Ekoko Mokete, who is the paramount ruler of the Bafo people. They are the people of the Meme division of the southwest region of Cameroon. Take a listen to the Bafo chief in the following extract.
Very, very important. And the present leader is 102. It is God's grace that he was that old and still strong to carry out the functions of leadership in the tribe. But knowing that leadership demands a lot of energy, it was but proper that we get some other person more energy to come into the throne. This consultation is significant in the sense that the tribe has come together. Kumba has come to support the choice of the living ancestor, to have his son replace him, because that is the order of the tribe.
The population of Mesong, a locality in the Nyongankele division of the central region of Cameroon, say they are in dire need of basic social amenities, including access to potable water, good roads, and as well as electricity. Their worries were expressed to a team of reporters of Equinoxe television, in which Immaculate Fogwe took part for the English News Desk.
The lone stretch of road linking several localities in Mesondo subdivision, Nyankele division, central region of Cameroon. The muddy, slippery and sticky nature of the road makes circulation extremely difficult. Motorcycle riders who ply the road at a certain point are forced to step down from their motorcycles. In order to avoid being stuck in the same area for hours, some other motorcycle riders prefer to ply on this safer narrow path. According to local inhabitants, the bad state of the road has led to an increase in transport fare, causing many of them to depend on other means of transportation. Living from Kelindongom with a bag of cocoyams or cassava, I have to pay the sum of 3,000 francs CFA. The roads in Mesondo are deplorable. We no longer depend on our roads for transportation because of its bad state, so we now prefer taking trains. The only problem is, if we miss the train, we are forced to spend the night at the railway station. Added to the problem of bad roads, access to potable water and electricity remains a major nightmare for the population for several years. All these plights were raised during the installation of the Executive Bureau of Mesondo. They have been asked to get to work in order to ameliorate the living conditions at the population. We are aware of the difficulties the population is facing, so we have decided to carry out action. During their 5 years mandate, the population of Mesondo will be able to confirm if they made the right choice.
Green Construction Home is inclusive home biogas distributor, an Israeli company, promote the use of waste in Cameroon to produce biogas and fertilizers with the Biodigest Home 2.0 organic home and animal waste and the liquidifier. The home biogas system, in addition to being an efficient solution for the treatment of waste, gives farmers real autonomy in the production of naturalized fertilizers, while allowing the possibility of producing in high quantity. More in this advertorial.
With the present COVID-19 pandemic, it is time for us to think in terms of sustainability. It is time for us to grow our own food and treat our own waste. Hello everyone, I am Lynn from Green Construction Home. We are here today to present to you all the new generation of the home biogas system, how it turns our organic waste into 100% renewable energy. Let's go. This is where we put our organic waste. This organic waste could be vegetables, meat, dairy waste, unlike composters. The organic waste goes down into this biodigester, where it is being broken down by bacteria to produce our biogas. When that is created, the gas goes up into this filter and down through this narrow pipe into our gas bag. It later on passes through this narrow gas pipe into our kitchen. This is the kitchen stove which comes with every home biogas system, and the flame which you see here was created by microorganic waste from our home biogas system with 2 hours worth of cooking time every day, and of course it's 100% renewable energy. Now let's head back out to the garden, where I'm going to show you the second awesome byproduct of the system. You see this amazing vegetable garden? This is the liquid fertilizer created from our home biogas system. The home biogas system has a lifespan of 15 years, and the material is of course 100% recycled. It is entirely a closed system with no smell nor environmental hindrance. These are the basics of how the home biogas system works, converting our organic waste into cooking gas and fertilizers for our gardens. Join the home biogas family today.
In the second part of this newscast, that on Talking Point, we shall be analyzing the detention conditions of Thomas Tangem alias Patom, who died this day in the nation's political capital Yaoundé with a legal mind. We shall also be seeing how his rights were worked upon by officials. Analyzing the detention conditions of Thomas Tangem alias Patom, who died this day in the nation's political capital Yaoundé with a legal mind. We shall also be seeing how his rights were worked upon by officials in Yaoundé. But first, we take you to the United States of America to talk with a health expert, Dr. Dita, who is on Skype. Thanks for joining us, Doctor, from the United States of America.
Hey, Mr. Armstrong, thank you very much for inviting me to Equinoxe Television 6 p.m. news today.
Though we wish to talk hepatitis with you, but before that, we just want to get the reaction or how it is being done in America vis-a-vis racial violence, discrimination within your field, the medical field. If we have this concept, you are actually a Cameroonian.
Yes, Mr. I'm having a bit of difficulties hearing you, but I will try to do my best with the few words that I'm hearing from you to try to answer questions. Yes, so if I got your question very well, you're talking about racial, social racial issues that plaguing the health system in the United States. You know, this is not a new phenomenon. This is something that has been well described and known to occur in the context of the United States health system. But the reason why we are talking more about it now is following the death of George Floyd, as well as the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, which is ongoing. As you know, African Americans and other minority populations are much more affected by COVID-19 by the other racial groups. This problem is not new. It only brings to the limelight many of the issues that we have long known that exist in the health sector in the United States. We know that minorities, especially African Americans, have more chronic medical conditions. They are more likely to die early. Take, for example, something like colon cancer. They develop it at an early age. They are more likely to present with cancer at a more advanced stage. So these are things that are well known. The reasons are multiple, they are complex, but for sure, the main driver is poverty. And I think 19 has just come to highlight those issues and bring them to the forefront. And I think every organization today is looking forward to coming up with a strategy that tries to address these racial disparities that exist in the United States.
It will be necessary because our figures we have so far indicates that most of the persons who have died so far of COVID-19 in the US, they are of the black race, or call it African Americans. Doc, we will be going directly to our key topic, which is hepatitis, and of course the effects on the African continent. We know it is a health issue which is not only affecting Africa. You were talking with me a while ago indicating that it is a challenge in the United States of America. As these European countries have they so far been able to combat hepatitis or reduce its effects on the people? If yes, how can that be copied and used by African countries, specifically Cameroon?
Yes, again, I think your question is on hepatitis. I'm really sorry, the network is not very good at all. Mr. Armstrong, if you remember very well, last week we celebrated the World Hepatitis Day. So hepatitis, by definition, simply means inflammation of the liver. And inflammation of the liver can be caused by a lot of things. But today we will focus on viral hepatitis, which we know is very common, not only around the whole world, but mostly in developing countries, which include Cameroon, which is my home country. There are several types of viral hepatitis that we know exist, and they are all labeled hepatitis A, B, C, D, and E. But the most important are hepatitis B and C. And the reason why I say they are the most important is because they can cause chronic liver disease, a condition which can evolve into what we call liver cirrhosis. And liver cirrhosis simply means scarring of the liver. And when your liver is scarred, it doesn't function very well. In fact, I tell my patients out here that when the liver is like the engine of the body. So when the engine of the body is injured, then you can understand that the car cannot move. So it's exactly the same picture that hepatitis B and hepatitis C can cause. And when you develop liver cirrhosis, you are at risk of other complications, one of which is liver cancer. Mr. Armstrong, I cannot tell you how many Cameroonians that I have witnessed out here die from liver cancer secondary to hepatitis B. The big problem with viral hepatitis is actually that most often than not, the patients do not have symptoms. So you can be going around feeling very fine, whereas you have this virus growing in your liver and causing damage without you actually knowing. And by the time it comes to our attention, it may be too late, or you may be presenting with some of the complications that I just described. So if you want, we can go into the risk factors and how we can identify these viral infections and manage them.
Sure, Doc. That was actually my question, how we can prevent or identify and manage them, especially within the African context, the Cameroonian context, where we know the public health care system is not the best compared to European countries and the United States, where you currently are.
Yes, and you're right. Chronic viral hepatitis is actually been labeled a public health problem. And that is also the case in the United States and talk less of in African countries, where we have the highest number of people who are infected with this condition. To start with, I will talk about chronic hepatitis B and then move on to talk about chronic hepatitis C. So hepatitis B is not as common as hepatitis C. And again, when you are affected, you often remain asymptomatic without showing any symptoms. And the main route by which people can acquire hepatitis B is by blood transfusion or from mother to child. So mother to child transmission is one of the main ways by which hepatitis B is acquired in the sub-Saharan African context. The other most important route is the sexual route. So if you had a partner who is hepatitis B positive and you are hepatitis B negative, if you guys have intercourse, you are at risk of acquiring chronic hepatitis B. So those are the main ways by which you can acquire it. The route by blood transmission is more rare. It's rare in hepatitis B as compared to hepatitis C. So you talk about things like scarifications that we do in Cameroon, where a tragic practitioner can take a razor and use it on several people without caring for any sanitary methods to sterilize that blade. You can certainly transmit viral hepatitis by that route. Now, to talk about chronic hepatitis C, hepatitis C is primarily transmitted through blood transfusion, blood exchange. In the United States, for example, the main route by which new hepatitis C infection is being acquired is through injection drug use. So people that use needles to inject IV medications are the highest group in the United States today who are at risk of acquiring chronic hepatitis C. The sexual route is also important, but not as important as in chronic hepatitis. So anything that could lead to exchange of blood between one individual and the other puts you at risk of chronic hepatitis C. So
second part of news in which we shall be discussing the situation in Yaoundé at the Kundigi Maximum Security Prison. We are receiving a legal mind, Barrister Tamfo Richard. He is a member of the Cameroon Bar and the Nigerian Bar. So you are a lawyer in Cameroon and in Nigeria. Barrister, once again, we are happy that you accepted our invitation.
Yes, the pleasure is all mine.
It was necessary we have you. It's true we had you yesterday, but the case in point was hot enough, and you are just the right person to talk about it.
Yes, before I utter words, I would like to extend my sincere sympathy and condolences to the immediate families of Mr. Tegem Thomas and to his inmates who are in the prisons of Cameroon, and his lawyers who were defending him, because that is someone who was arbitrarily arrested in 2017.
Yes.
He has gone all through sort of torture at the Secretary of State in charge of defense before being referred to the central prison in Yaoundé. He was still presumed innocent because he has not had a judgment yet. So, and seeing him going or dying in chains is painful, and to me it's really very, very sad. When I imagine that we live in a country where we have laws governing us, we have a constitution. If you look at the Cameroon constitution, in its preamble, if you permit me to read, It says every person has a right to life, to physical and moral integrity, and to humane treatment in all circumstances. Under no circumstances shall any person be subjected to torture, to cruel and inhumane or degrading treatment. You see, that is a citizen who is dying in chains while at a hospital bed, on a dying bed, and it means nothing. Maybe he's dying for his ideas. He's dying without having a judgment that has found him guilty.
Yes, exactly. Just that a very close family member of Tangim Thomas said he has been to court on several occasions, about 6 times, or the case has always been adjourned. He's never been judged and found guilty. Barrister, how can you explain that somebody is kept in prison for about 3 years, he's not been judged and sentenced, now he's sick, taken to the hospital in chains? What is wrong there? What should Cameroonians understand by that? Is that normal?
There can't be an explanation apart to the cruelty of the Cameroon government. That is cruel, because you won't arrest somebody since 2017, and this is 3 years today. You are not able to have a judgment finding him guilty, and even after being sick, he will request for medical attention. You won't provide it to him, and even when by the time you decide to take him to the hospital, he's taking his drips, still in chain. Just to tell you that the cruel treatment is inhumane, and nothing can explain that. I think the people who are behind his death have their conscience to face with God, because only God remains our superior guide. And I pray that wherever he is, his soul should rest in perfect peace.
Barrister, some of your colleagues surely if not you, had the opportunity to see him in prison, to see him in court. Today, a family member, Tangim Nadesh, on Facebook actually said that the uncle dying is finding rest, because the situation under which he was bad enough that death is even better.
Yes, it has reached to a point where she tried to make a comparison between being sick, taking drip, and being in chain. I think the best maybe is for him now to have a peaceful rest, because at this time he's gone, he's dead. He will no more be in chains, or he will no more suffer the tortures or the inhumane treatment that he was going through while still alive. It's a choice between either that she has just tried to compare the two situations, and to her she thinks that him going to rest in perfect peace now is more better.
What does the law say with regards to arresting somebody and keeping the person without trial? For how long should somebody be arrested and kept without trial?
Yes, we have the Criminal Procedure Code that provides mechanisms or methods whereby you can be arrested. And when you are arrested, there is a legal time frame for your custody, for your remand in custody,
of course,
which is 6 months, and then if it is a crime, it is renewed for another 12 months. So it is expected that within a period of 18 months maximum, you should be able to find or have a judgment that is either acquitting you or finding you guilty. But if after the 18 months you are still awaiting trial, then your detention becomes illegal, and there is need for the state to...
You are talking about this 18 months maximum, irrespective of the motive.
That is the law.
Arrest.
That is the law. You can be arrested for whatever offense, which maybe is a felony or is a misdemeanor, and the law provides that if you have to remain in custody, maybe for investigations or security reasons or for whatever reason, the Criminal Procedure Code is clear. The remand period is 6 months. If after 6 months nothing is found, or you have been judged, or there's nothing against you, you can be released. But now, if the investigation still has to go on, there is another 12 months for crimes, 6 months for another 12 months for felonies, and another 6 months for misdemeanor. So maximum, that is 18 months for you to be in custody if you have committed a felony, like the case they were being charged for violations or under the terrorism acts of terrorism. So I believe that 18 months was enough for the remand in custody, or for the administration or the court to be able to have a judgment sentencing him or either acquitting him, because at this stage he is still presumed to be innocent until proven guilty by a court of law.
But when you're as a lawyer defending somebody, you find your client being held for more than 18 months that you know for 3 years. Your client is sick, he's not allowed access to medical treatment despite efforts from family members. What should you even do as a lawyer? And then what should the family even do? I'm asking this question because apparently he is not the only one who's gone through that. We have comments saying that there are several other Cameroonians who are being held in this manner for several months without trial.
Yeah, it is so frustrating because you see, a lawyer should be seen like a medical doctor. When you are sick, you see the medical doctor as that person that can save you from the illness. Likewise, too, the lawyer should be seen as that person that can remove you from the hands of the justice, or if you have issues with the justice system. So if you, the lawyer, you are not able to work, you are not able to give that necessary assistance to your client, it makes you, the lawyer, to feel ridiculed, and it's really frustrating.
Okay. Now let's come back to this case of Tangem Thomas. He is a 59-year-old, a father of 6, according to the family sources. He was in Buea in the southwest region of Kamer when he was arrested. He actually had a workshop. He had people working with him. He was arrested. The family did not know. He was held for more than 2 weeks before the family got information that he was taken to Yaoundé. Now, Barrister, you've been following people arrested within the context of the armed conflict in the northwest and southwest regions. Are there so many others who have gone through, who are going through what Tangem Thomas went through?
Yes, there are so many. There are thousands in the prisons. It's only when it happens to you that you can believe that someone can be arrested in Limba and taken to Yaoundé. Or they can arrest someone and keep him maybe in Communicado for months. It is only when it happens that you actually know. So it's regrettable that that's somebody who was full of life. He's leaving behind a family. He was going about his activities, and maybe for some circumstances or suspects, maybe he's arrested. Under that circumstances, he's taken to Yaoundé, far away from his family, whereas there is a military court in Buea. That if he was, for example, maybe in custody at the prisons in Buea, his family could attend to him, seeing his degrading health situation. But imagine what the families have to go, maybe leaving Buea to Yaoundé to be able to attend to their parent. You see, it's really very difficult and sad to believe that you are being detained by people, and when you are sick, they are not willing to take you to the hospital. His comrades in the prisons even went to protesting that it wasn't normal that someone can be sick and is not taken to the hospital. But it didn't move the prison administrators. So only for us to see some few days that he was lying on his sick bed in chains, taking a drip. I think that is degrading, and we are losing all our moral values like a country that respects its laws or respect the rules of law. The Constitution is our Bible, and the preamble is even an integral part of the Constitution. Even the Constitution tells you that no one will have to go through such an inhumane or degrading treatment, but you leave it. So it's really sad.
Apart from the violation of his right to medical treatment, what are some of the rights? What are some of the rights actually of Thomas that were violated in the course of his arrest in Buea? He's being transferred to Sed, where he will spend 4 months, and finally sent to Kundingi, now held for this number of days and 6 months without taking to the hospital. Finally taken to the hospital for 2 weeks, he died.
Yeah, there are so many rights that have been violated. If I have to list them here, it will take us the whole day. Yeah, he was arbitrarily tortured. He's illegally being detained. He has been refused.
Illegally being detained?
Yes, because he was so legal. The legal period is 18 months. Okay. If you calculate from 2007, that's 3 years. Why is he not having a judgment? That's illegal detention. So the rights are so many. So many. If I have to list them, there's so many.
But now, what are some of the circumstances under which a case might be adjourned and adjourned and adjourned?
Well, we all know that justice delayed is justice denied.
Okay.
When they keep on adjourning, meaning that they're denying you justice. And for any adjournment has to be supported by a reason. I can't understand why for 3 years he has not been sentenced. I think that it is but intentional that they don't want to give him a fair trial, and they want to keep him there for long, maybe because that is like intentionally killing him. You see, there's no reason that can explain several adjournments. If they have evidence against you, you are charged before a court. I think they should even be in a haste to be able to present those evidence to the court and then sentence you, and then you serve your imprisonment term properly.
Seeing the horrible picture where he was lying on the hospital bed, chained, some will think that officials probably did not believe that he was sick. They thought that he was just pretending or making up something to run away.
When you are sick, all of us, even when you're not a medical doctor, when somebody is sick, you should know that he's sick. You are weak. You can't. There are some movements that you can't even do. So when he goes to the hospital and the medical doctor says that I have to put him on drip, what was the essence again of putting him on chain? I think it's rather just a cruel treatment.
He was really sick.
He's sick. If he's taking treatment that he's sick, they could arrange maybe for a room and then maybe post some security guards to watch over him, but not letting him in chain and dying in chain. That's cruel.
Thank you very much, Barrister Tanfo Richard. We are very grateful.
The pleasure is mine.
And to you, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for your very kind attention. Stay with Equinoxe Television. Interesting programs continue.